we have been opening forest. This back 30 acres of our property, let me take my hat off, was clear cut supposedly 13 years ago, before we ever bought the place. And then they stopped. They never did anything to it. They just harvested the wood and left it alone. It's actually a lot of very useful land, because if you see, it's fairly flat. And then of course it rolls down. I think this elevation is around the 700s, and then it goes down all the way to about 620. No, about in the 500s. So it's a pretty steep incline, but we could probably gain 10 to 15 acres of usable pasture. And with the hope of one day raising more cattle and other grazing animals, pasture is where it's at. We need pasture to be able to raise grazing animals. So little by little, in between jobs, when we can, we try to move things forward. And it's overwhelming. Owning a big farm is overwhelming. There's days that you're like, how in the world will I ever win? But if you do a little at a time, eventually you'll see change. And for the people that visit us once in a while, and they come, you know, once or twice a year, and then you see the change. You know, we do little bites at the time, and we sometimes get discouraged because we don't see the change. But if you come see us and you haven't seen the place in a year, then you'd be like, whoa, there's a lot that's been done. So little by little, it's better this than going to spend money on a gym. Let me show you a path. We made a path that I think is about 2,000 yards. About 2 miles, maybe not. I have to figure out an app that measures it properly. Let me show you. I'm also making hunting highways so that we can. There's an old hunting cabin up there. I'm gonna put about 3 or 4 hunting cabins out here. Let me show you. Hopefully I can use my hand and show y'all my hunting paths. Let's go. Alrighty. Some spots I do have to make wider. I've been I pulled out about 10 trees today, like smaller little poplar trees, and then I'll have to pull a drag or come through with the skid steer to level out the soil. But it's drivable with my machine. So these paths are going to be used basically to make corridors for the deer, which the deer, they walk through the woods, but deer are lazy animals. So if we can create easier walking trails for the deer, they will choose these trails over walking through the woods. So like you see how tight the woods are. These are all poplar saplings. They'll prefer to walk through this, which is much easier for them. So if we put hunting stands on these trails, the likelihood of catching a good deer are higher. So this is one of the tighter spots I've been working all morning to make it an easier drivable path. We also have horses, so my daughter and wife, Emily and Shayla, they will be riding these trails with the horses. And if you come visit, we can do walking trails for hours. A few months ago we posted that we found a sad spot on our property, and sad as in human negligence and human poor behavior. Being such a beautiful piece of land, we found a junkyard and a trash dump site. Let me show you. We found some old cars. There's actually old whole cars. But this is the junkyard. So now that we have a road, we can actually start making piles and sorting some of this mess. There's old tires, pipes, fencing, bottles of chemicals, all kind of farm supplies. And there's an old Studebaker, whatever however you say that, from probably the 40s, maybe the 30s. So now we have a lane. Now we've opened up a highway. I call it a highway because this will be a deer traveling highway. Come back out to the end of the original driveway, which opens up to the pasture. So this back 30 acres has fencing all the way around it. Now the fencing is in very bad shape, so this path will help us access the sides, the outside perimeter of our fence, to be able to make the repair. And we've opened up spots like this where we can create, I don't know, I'm hoping about 10 acres or so of grazing land, so that we can put our cows here and our animals, and have an alternate space, because every time you leave a cow or horses in a space too long, they destroy the pasture. So this is the open pasture that we do have, and now we have a path all the way around the 30 acres on the very back, so we can actually take the horses, do trails, maintain the fence, and little by little close this pasture. See ya.